Another question that people brought up is kind of talking about something you said in your blog about how they're, and I'm quoting, they're on a bunch of high-level NPCs running around who can step in and clean up the PC's messes or do things that the PCs can't. That's always something that, I know a lot of players find frustrating. It kind of makes it a little campy, and it's kind of like, why am I here? Nothing really matters. These guys are going to come in and mech. So that's a goal here, is that that's not going to be the case?
Yeah, we want to create that feel, at least. There is a feel in the current game that's true. Certainly a lot of people feel that way, not necessarily everyone, granted. But for instance, Mistra's Chosen, who are these sort of uber powerful beings, won't be around to save the day anymore, and what that does is just sort of heightens the tension for the heroes in the world. It means that they're the ones who are actually accomplishing the epic goals, because 4th edition is aimed at heroic paragon and epic level play. We want to have epic stories to tell in the setting, but we want the heroes to be as much a part of them as possible. And I think it's good for the setting that they feel like that they're the movers and shakers of the world eventually, right. And not the symbol or right. some other random uber powerful archmage.
One of the things this kind of dovetails into is now we're going to have the full 30 levels of play.
Right.
How do you see that affecting like the NPCs of Forgotten Realms?
That's an interesting question. There has to be threats at all levels. So even though we are nuking some of the high-level characters who can sort of steal the PC's thunder, there will be plenty of high-level threats and bad guys running around, as well as high-level organizations that the characters can join in. The actual, it almost seems like a paradox. We're eliminating high-level characters, we're adding high-level threats and other characters. But the high-level ones that we're adding, I think, aren't going to kind of get in the way of the story the way some of the current characters do.
So one of the other questions we have is, why was it decided that a quote-unquote new realms had to be introduced? And note that Rich Baker, that no good Rich Baker specifically has used the word new.
Well,
how'd that get there?
How'd that get there? Oh, I don't know. Poor Rich. He is not to blame for any of this new stuff. He has been nothing but he has been nothing but an advocate for the FR campaign setting since its inception. He's a great guy, so I feel we sort of laugh about it around the office, and we joke about it, and we put up these goofy signs, and we wear Rich Baker must be stopped t-shirts and all kinds of crazy stuff. But really, the decision to make the realms new again was one that basically at the corporate level. And
at the corporate level?
Yeah,
what does that mean?
That means that we talked about it.
Somebody from Hasbro came in and said that you need to do this?
Nobody from Hasbro ever comes in and tells us to do anything, as you well know. But we talked about it pretty much all the way up the chain internally.
Right.
Because there's a lot riding on this.
So basically what you're saying is it's important enough that everybody through all levels of the organization, this wasn't like one guy
said, hey. The publishing team get together, we had the entire R&D team get together, we had to have basically vice presidential buy-off on these decisions, and we had to make an argument for the change, and there were people in the room who were like, I don't know, and there were people in the room like, yes, do it now, do it, do it, do it. And so
would you say most of it came, was it initiated by the team? This was the team saying this is what we think we need to do?
Yeah.
And then they kind of sold it out to the rest of the company?
Absolutely.
As opposed to somebody in a suit somewhere smoking cigars saying, hey.
Yeah. Suits.
I want to meet that guy.
Who are these suits? I've never met these suits.
Can you tell us about the Realms campaigns that Wizards of the Coast designers play and run? I hear some mentions of Eberron games run amongst the designers, but very rarely do I hear about a Realms game run in the WotC office or by a designer for their home game.
That's a really good question. We had a Realms game, internal Realms game going for a while, but it hasn't. I think it stopped about a year ago. Mostly because people got so busy and were being pulled in a bunch of different directions. Right. But what we typically find is that people plunder Realms content for their own campaigns
all the
internally.
time.
Yeah, I do it for my Monday and Wednesday campaigns. Bill does it. So there's a lot of FR in all the campaigns that we run, which is sort of a general philosophy among the people around the office. Is the stuff that we create, we don't compartmentalize into campaigns the way a lot of people on the outside do. When we create something, we think it's going to be for our home campaigns or whatever. And that's one of the things I would love to be able to communicate more effectively to fans who are running D&D games, non-FR D&D games on the outside, that there's a lot of stuff within the FR world that can easily be imported over. So currently, there are no FR games running.
I mean, I know right now a lot of, I'm in just the 4th edition.
Currently, there are no 3rd edition games running.
Like I'm in the 4th edition playtest, and it's very basic. We're going through the kind of the basic stuff, and I think there's a lot of that right now.
And the people who didn't in the department who didn't run FR campaigns usually didn't run them for a lot of the same reasons why people on the outside don't run FR campaigns, and that's because they just can't absorb all the material that they think they need to run the campaign as a true FR campaign, because there's so much stuff built up.
And so that's one of the goals that you guys are hoping to
certainly that's why that experience influenced or made us very aware of similar feelings on the outside of the department. We sort of gained this heightened awareness of this problem and tried to deal with it with the 4th edition relaunch of the campaign setting.
Anything you want to get out and answer that I haven't asked? Anything you... Here's your big chance, put $1 in an envelope and send it to Chris Perkins at Wizards of the...
No, I don't want your money.
Okay, send it to Mike.
Let me see. No, over the next few months, let me backtrack a bit. We sat down as a team in R&D and with Phil Athens, who's the sort of managing editor of the book team, and we created a calendar of when we were going to tell people exactly what in the realms. Specifically, who's still going to be around, what's happening to this place and this place and this place and this place, what year we're going to be jumping to, what's going on with this, what information can you tell us about the spell plague, all of this sort of very detailed information, and we created a rollout calendar.
Okay, so there's a whole plan in place for what's going to be released when?
We know exactly what we're going to tell people from now until the campaign setting launches in August.
Okay.
And most of that information, the bulk of that information, is going to slip out in Gamer Radio Zero interviews and on D&D Insider in the form of little preview FR snippets. So I urge people to go to those two sources, monthly, daily, weekly, whatever, to get their FR download.
Okay.
And the reason for putting this plan into place is we've got a number of things, including novels and other things, that have secrets in them, and we don't want to steal that thunder.
Right.
So everything has to be very carefully and cleverly coordinated. So if we're not giving you some vital bit of information, like for instance the actual date that we're advancing to, it's because that information is going to be more effectively delivered at another time.
And it's not that we don't know, and it's not that we don't care, and it's not that we don't realize people want to know this. It's all part of the plan to make sure things come out at a certain time. And you want to keep people interested, and you want to not reveal secrets.
There's a certain amount of hype involved.
Right.
And, whatever. That's fine. I mean, movie trailers.
It's part of the game.
Yeah, exactly. It's all part of the game. But by the time, in the months before the campaign's guide comes out, I think people will have a pretty good idea of the details of the setting, and what they'll really want to do is pick up the book and see how it was all executed, and hopefully they will just jump right into a new campaign. And I look forward to doing another one of these interviews at the appointed hour.
All right, and this is Chris Perkins' 4th appearance on Gamer Radio Zero. You've surpassed Randy Bueller and everybody else. So, you have a little, maybe we'll have a little trophy or something. You can carry that around until we get somebody else. So, Chris Perkins, story design manager, Wizards of the Coast for D&D 4th edition. Thanks again for coming on Gamer Radio Zero.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.